They laughed at you, they doubted you, they whispered behind closed doors, thinking you'd never hear. But what they didn't know is, you were chosen from the very beginning, handpicked by the divine, not to blend in, but to rise. And now the time of hiding is over. The time of crying in silence, wondering when it will be your turn, has come to an end. Hear this clearly. God is about to elevate you in front of everyone who once misjudged you, who tried to bury you, who never saw the crown that was always on your head. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were born with a spiritual fingerprint unlike anyone else's. Your soul carries ancient wisdom, fire-tested resilience, and heaven's favor. But that calling came with a cost. The moment your light began to flicker in this world, the darkness took notice. That's why the storm started early. That's why the attacks were so personal. Because the enemy knew something was on your life, even before you did. You didn't ask for the battles. You didn't chase the pain. Yet pain became your teacher. Rejection became your forge. Isolation, it wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Heaven was working in silence while you were being broken in secret. There were moments when you questioned your worth. Let's be real. You cried in places no one ever saw. You kept smiling around people who would have loved to see you fall apart. You helped others stand while you were crawling. You encouraged others to believe while you were trying to hold on to a thread of faith yourself. And through it all, God was watching, not in judgment, but in fierce love. He saw every silent prayer. He heard every "why me" whispered in the dark. And yet, he didn't remove the fire. Why? Because he was refining something in you that can't be built without pressure. He was birthing the version of you that this next season will demand. People saw weakness. Heaven saw strength. People thought you were finished. God said, not yet. Your enemies assumed they could discredit you, shame you, overlook you. But what they didn't understand is that you were being hidden on purpose, covered by grace, protected while the oil was being poured. Because when God is preparing a chosen one for elevation, He doesn't announce it prematurely. He works in silence, He anoints in secret, and then, suddenly, He reveals in power. And that revealing is near. There's a divine shift happening, and your name is on it. It's not just a breakthrough, it's not just favor. It's a public demonstration of who you really are. People who mocked your struggle will witness your promotion. People who dismissed you will soon have no choice but to acknowledge you. And not because you demanded it, not because you fought for attention, but because God Himself is stepping in and saying, now is the time. I will elevate the one they tried to bury. But let's talk about that pain for a moment. The heartbreaks, the betrayals you never talk about out loud. The moments that shattered you so deeply, you didn't even recognize yourself in the mirror. You've been through losses that should have destroyed your faith. You've walked through valleys so dark, most people don't come out sane. But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still standing. That's not normal. That's not human strength. That's divine preservation. You are the proof that when God has a plan, no pit, no person, no demon in hell can stop it. Do you know how dangerous you've become to the kingdom of darkness? Every day you kept going when you had every reason to quit. You tore down lies. Every time you forgave someone who didn't deserve it, you reflected God's heart. Every time you chose faith over fear, you reclaimed territory. That's why the warfare has been so intense. That's why you've been under pressure, because elevation is costly. Glory doesn't come cheap. And chosen ones are refined in fire. But hear me now, your elevation is not just about you. It's about the people who will see your life and believe in God again. It's about the ones who are silently suffering, waiting for someone like you to rise, so they can see what survival looks like. Your rise is a ripple effect, and that's why God is doing it publicly. Because when He restores openly. When He blesses undeniably. He is not just going to whisper your name, He's about to echo it through rooms you didn't even know you had access to. This isn't just restoration, this is recompense. double for every tear, triple for every night you almost gave up. This is the kind of blessing that confuses people, the kind that makes them ask, how did they get there? And the only answer will be, God did it. Now, you may not feel ready. You may still see yourself through the lens of your pain, your past, your failures. But God is not consulting your past to determine your future. He's not looking at your qualifications. He's looking at your heart. The very things that made you feel disqualified, your compassion, your sensitivity, your hunger for righteousness, are the very reasons you were chosen. You didn't fit in because you weren't meant to. You couldn't conform because your destiny required distinction. And now everything is aligning, not because you forced it, but because heaven has moved. You're going to start seeing doors open that were bolted shut. You'll walk into spaces that once rejected you and be invited to the head of the table. And it won't be because of manipulation or connections or striving. It will be grace, pure, undeniable, undeserved favor. And when people ask you how you did it, you won't boast in yourself. You'll point to heaven and say, God elevated me. So don't shrink, don't apologize, don't second guess what you feel stirring in your spirit. You're not crazy, you're not arrogant, you're not imagining things. That surge in your soul, that holy fire that won't let you settle, that's confirmation. The heavens are aligning, the angels are moving, and your name is being spoken in rooms of power. This is your moment, chosen one. Stand tall, speak boldly, love radically. You were not meant to stay in the shadows. The spotlight isn't for your ego, it's for His glory. And now your story is about to shift from silent survival to divine elevation, right in front of everyone who thought they had the final word. And trust me, they won't see it coming, but heaven planned it all along. They saw the outside, but they never knew the war you fought on the inside. They saw your smile, your posture, your strength, but they didn't see the nights you wrestled in the spirit, the mornings you woke up drenched in anxiety, trying to make sense of the chaos swirling around your life. You weren't just going through hard times. You were in spiritual warfare, the kind that doesn't show up in the physical but leaves you mentally bruised, emotionally exhausted, and spiritually drained. That's because you carry something dangerous to darkness. The enemy saw it. That's why he targeted you so relentlessly. Every door that slammed in your face, every relationship that collapsed without warning, every season where nothing made sense, it wasn't random, it was strategic. Hell doesn't waste its energy on the average. It comes hard after the anointed. And make no mistake, you are anointed. You've walked through spiritual battles that would have crushed someone else. You've stared at empty bank accounts and still tithed. You've stood in rooms where you were the most overlooked and still served. You've loved people who only came to drain you. You've forgiven people who never apologized. That's not weakness, that's power under control. That's spiritual maturity that can only be forged in fire. You didn't just survive hell, you took notes while walking through it. And that's why elevation is coming. Because God can trust you now. You're no longer chasing validation. You're no longer trying to prove anything. You've learned to be content with being hidden, with being misunderstood, with being the one who's left out. And that kind of surrender, oh, heaven responds to that with favor that cannot be explained. You may not have realized it, but while you were praying for deliverance, heaven was preparing your promotion. You thought you were fighting for survival, but God was shaping you into a spiritual warrior. That heartbreak, it deepened your discernment. That betrayal, it sharpened your wisdom. Those silent seasons, they tuned your ears to the whisper of God. You don't operate like everyone else anymore. That's why they don't understand you. That's why some relationships had to fall apart. You've outgrown the shallow, the fake, the performative. You crave depth now, purpose, alignment. You've become allergic to anything that dishonors your calling. And it hasn't gone unnoticed. God saw every silent battle. He saw you choose love when it hurt. He saw you bless those who cursed you. He saw you cry in the night and still show up with grace in the morning. You never lost your softness. even after the world tried to harden you. That's rare, and heaven rewards the rare. And now, your enemies are trembling, not because you're loud, not because you're petty, but because they can feel it. Your elevation is unsettling the spirits that once fed off your pain. Your glow is exposing the shadows they tried to hide in. The oil on your life is increasing, and it's becoming uncomfortable for those who benefited from your silence, your struggle, your suppression. But this is what happens when a chosen one rises. The same people who thought you were done start watching in silence. The same ones who gossiped suddenly grow quiet, not because they've changed, but because they see what's coming. They feel the shift. They know your name is being lifted, not by human hands, but by divine decree. And nothing terrifies the enemy more than a chosen one who finally knows who they are. You're not just rising, you're rising with clarity. You're rising with scars that have turned into wisdom. You're rising with vision that can't be manipulated. And you're rising with fire that religion can't quench and culture can't redefine. You're walking into rooms differently now. You're not begging to be seen. You're bringing heaven with you. And yes, the warfare will intensify just before the breakthrough. That's how you know you're close. It's like the last contraction before birth. It feels unbearable, chaotic, even disorienting. But it's a sign that you're about to emerge, fully, publicly, boldly. This next chapter isn't just about restoration, it's about public vindication. God is not just going to bless you quietly, He's going to elevate you in front of every person who questioned your anointing. He's going to promote you in spaces that once rejected you, and He's going to do it with such grace, such power, such clarity, that there will be no room for doubt. And let's be clear, this isn't revenge. This is divine justice. This isn't about proving your enemies wrong. This is about proving that God was always right about you. This is about heaven getting glory from your life. And your elevation, it's the evidence. So if you feel like the battle has intensified, if you've been feeling spiritually heavy, emotionally fatigued, mentally attacked, know this: the enemy always attacks loudest when he knows the breakthrough is about to hit. He's trying to shake your faith. But what he doesn't realize is you've been through worse and came out worshiping. You've been through storms and learned how to dance in the rain. Your roots go deep, and your God, He's undefeated. Chosen one, you are not fragile anymore. You're not in survival mode. You've stepped into your authority. You're not reacting, you're discerning. You're not chasing, you're attracting. You're not striving, you're aligned. And now the oil that was once hidden is about to overflow publicly. So don't be surprised when favor starts finding you, when doors open without your effort, when people you never met are drawn to your presence. It's not coincidence. It's divine timing. You've sowed in tears. Now it's time to reap in joy. And yes, they'll be watching. Some will clap, some will be confused, some will be convicted. But none of it will stop what's coming, because this isn't about being liked. It's about being launched. God is launching you into spaces your enemies said you'd never reach. And He's doing it in such a way that no one will be able to deny that you were called, that you were chosen, that the hand of God never left you. So rise, chosen one, not in arrogance, not in pride, but in purpose, in power, in purity. Because the elevation isn't just a moment, it's a mantle, and it's yours now. There's a shift happening in the unseen, a divine reordering, and though your natural eyes may not fully perceive it yet, your spirit knows. Something deep inside you has already begun to stir, an unexplainable peace, a holy anticipation, a knowing that cannot be shaken. It's not random, it's not false hope, it's justice, divine justice. And God is about to make it public. You didn't endure all that pain for nothing. You didn't walk through those dark valleys, endure slander, experience betrayal, or carry burdens in secret just to be forgotten. You didn't lose relationships, jobs, opportunities, and time just to be left behind. God kept record. Heaven has been documenting every injustice, every act of kindness that was overlooked, every hour of labor that went unseen. And now, in this season, the righteous judge is preparing to turn the tables. You're not forgotten. You're marked. You're favored. And what's coming will not be a silent restoration. It will be loud. God is about to display His glory through your life in a way that no lie can cover, no enemy can deny, and no man can take credit for. This is the season where the first shall become last, and the last shall become first. This is the time when the stone the builders rejected becomes the cornerstone. You were the one overlooked, misread, dismissed, but now comes the unveiling. They tried to label you, define you, even bury you, but they did it too soon. They didn't realize you were a seed. A seed doesn't die in the dirt. It transforms, it grows, and when the time is right, it breaks through. That's you. That breaking wasn't the end. It was your emergence. It was your moment of becoming. God is about to give you beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise instead of heaviness. Not just in private, but in front of those who said you'd never make it. He's not vindicating your ego. He's vindicating your purpose. This is about showing the world that when He puts His hand on someone's life, no amount of lies, delays, or demonic interference can stop what's been decreed in heaven. And let me tell you, there's about to be a reversal of fortunes. The very things that once oppressed you are about to lose power. The systems that tried to exclude you are going to be shaken. Those who tried to silence your voice are about to watch you speak on platforms they can't access. And it won't be because you fought for it. It will be because you endured with integrity. While others were scheming, you were surrendering. While others were manipulating, you were healing. While others were performing, you were becoming. That's why it's your time, because God exalts the humble. He lifts up those who remain faithful in obscurity. He blesses the ones who obey even when it hurts. And you, chosen one, have proven that your heart was never after applause, it was after alignment. And now God is aligning everything. Your name is being spoken in rooms you've never entered. Your gift is making space for you. Doors are about to open, not because of your resume, but because of your obedience. The anointing on your life is going to begin to draw opportunities, connections, and resources that previously felt impossible. And every time you walk into a space, the atmosphere will shift, not because of you, but because of the God who walks with you. This is your time of fulfillment. The promises that felt delayed are not denied. God is restoring the years the locusts tried to steal. He's accelerating your timeline, not because you're behind, but because His glory requires a timely display. What took others 10 years will take you 1. What felt out of reach will suddenly feel natural. That's the power of divine favor. But don't get it twisted. This is not just about receiving blessings. This is about stepping into divine assignment. You were not preserved through the pain just to be comfortable. You were preserved for purpose. God has elevated you to be a witness, a carrier of light, a prophetic voice in a generation hungry for truth. So, speak, walk boldly, show up fully. You are not who you used to be. The wounds have healed, the tears have dried, the warfare was intense, but so is the glory that's about to follow. You're not broken. You're built, not bitter. You're better. And your scars? They're not signs of shame. They're signs of survival. They are proof that grace is real, that God is faithful, and that no weapon formed against you could prosper. You've been hidden long enough. You've been waiting long enough. You've been patient, humble, quiet, and consistent. And now it's time for the elevation, time for the recompense, time for the world to see what God saw all along. And in this rising, there is healing. You're not just being lifted, you're being healed. In your mind, in your heart, in your identity, God is replacing every lie you believed with truth. The lie that said you're not enough, gone. The lie that said you'll never be loved right, broken. The lie that said you'll always struggle, always be behind, always live in lack, canceled. God is rewriting your narrative. He's making you whole, not just successful. He's restoring not just your life, but your soul. Because real elevation isn't just public, it's internal. It's the quiet confidence that says, I'm no longer performing, I'm walking in purpose. It's the healed heart that no longer needs applause to feel valuable. It's the clarity that lets you discern who's for you, and who's just curious. It's the power to forgive those who don't even know they hurt you. That's the kind of transformation God is bringing. And that's what makes this elevation so powerful. It's not just about a platform, it's about purity. Chosen one, I need you to hear this deeply. Your time has come. This isn't a wish or a vague encouragement. This is prophetic. This is timely. This is a word straight to the fire in your belly that's been waiting to be released. You've sat in the shadows long enough. You've been silent long enough. And heaven is now calling you forward, to speak, to lead, to shine. Don't fear the attention. Don't shrink back. Don't doubt the oil on your life. God doesn't elevate based on popularity. He elevates based on purpose. And your purpose is calling, loudly, urgently, clearly. So answer it. Step up. The world is waiting, but more importantly, heaven is watching. Have you ever wondered why the battles in your life have been so personal, so relentless, so surgical? Why certain people turned on you not with just casual indifference, but with a force that felt targeted, premeditated? Why you've often felt like you were being resisted, opposed, even punished for simply trying to do right? Chosen one, it wasn't coincidence. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't even about those people. What you've been experiencing is the reaction to your assignment. It's the cost of your calling. When heaven marks someone for divine purpose, it triggers a reaction in the spirit realm. That reaction then echoes through people, systems, relationships, and even circumstances. You weren't just fighting external battles, you were navigating the invisible repercussions of your spiritual identity. You carry something powerful inside of you, a light that confronts shadows, a presence that irritates hidden darkness. Your very existence threatens strongholds that have stood for generations. That's why people have felt provoked by you without understanding why. It's not your personality, it's your anointing. It's not your success, it's your essence. You walk in rooms and things begin to shift. You don't have to speak, your spirit speaks before your mouth ever opens. There's a paradox here that only the spiritually mature will understand. When God elevates you, it exposes people. When favor falls on your life, it reveals hearts. Some of the attacks you endured weren't really about you. They were reactions to the light you carry. People projected their own insecurities onto you. They saw your grace and felt convicted. They saw your growth and felt left behind. They saw your calling and tried to compete, failing to realize that your assignment isn't their threat. It's their mirror. And yet, it hurt. Let's not deny it. You trusted people who became jealous of you. You loved people who couldn't celebrate you. You gave to people who later used what they knew against you. These weren't strangers, they were close. The kind of closeness that cuts deep when it turns cold. That wasn't random either. It was necessary. It was part of your pruning. It was part of God removing what couldn't go with you into the next season. See, elevation doesn't come without purification. Before God releases the next level of glory, He exposes what might contaminate it. So He allows certain people to reveal themselves, not to harm you, but to protect you. He lets you feel the sting so you'll remember to never place your trust in man over Him. He lets the betrayal happen to teach you discernment. He lets the door close so you stop trying to sit at tables He never ordained for you in the first place. The truth is, you weren't just chosen to rise. You were chosen to carry a frequency. A divine frequency that awakens others, convicts atmospheres, and shifts generations. That's why the warfare has been so specific. It's not just about you, it's about legacy. Every time you resisted the urge to retaliate, you broke a generational cycle. Every time you spoke life instead of curses, you reversed a pattern. You are walking proof that the bloodline is being cleansed through obedience, through fire, through surrender. And yes, the laws of the Spirit have been at play in your life. Laws many never talk about. The law of sowing and reaping. You've sowed in tears, in truth, in love. And now harvest is your portion. The law of exposure. What was hidden had to come to the surface so you'd stop romanticizing dysfunction. The law of alignment. What's not connected to your purpose has been stripped away so you can move forward without weights. But perhaps the deepest of all is the law of contradiction. The divine paradox, where everything looks like it's falling apart right before it comes together, where you feel most abandoned right before your greatest visitation. That's where you've been. In the wilderness of contradiction, called but criticized, anointed but isolated, gifted but overlooked, prepared but delayed. And now the contradiction is about to make sense. The pain wasn't proof that God left you, it was proof that He was near. So near, in fact, that He was refining you with fire only the chosen can endure. You see, what you carry is weighty. Your calling isn't surface level, it's prophetic. It pierces, it heals, it liberates. And because of that, your path has been different. You didn't get shortcuts. You got sanctification. You didn't get applause, you got assignments. You weren't put on display. You were put through process. All so that when your time came, you wouldn't be a counterfeit. You'd be the real thing. That's what separates the chosen from the crowd. You weren't called to blend in. You were called to disrupt. You weren't chosen to be liked. You were chosen to lead. And true leadership costs. It costs popularity. It costs comfort. It costs convenience. But what you gain, what you gain is eternal. You gain clarity. You gain power. You gain a relationship with God that is unshakable. And now that you've endured the fire, now that you've been stripped of ego, of illusions, of dependencies, you're ready. Not just for the platform, not just for the elevation, but for the responsibility, for the souls attached to your obedience, for the influence that won't taint you because you no longer need it, for the opportunities that won't distract you because your eyes are fixed on something higher. This is why you had to be broken before you could be built. This is why you had to be misunderstood before you could be revealed. This is why the attacks were so strange, so personal, so intense, because they were never just about you. They were about your purpose, your assignment, your voice, your mission. And it all leads back to the very thing God whispered to you in the midnight of your struggle. You are chosen, not by man, not by popularity, not by systems, but by me. Chosen one, take this in. The same people who questioned you will soon look to you. The same environments that drained you will be transformed by your presence. The same shadows that once tried to silence you will scatter as you speak. And none of it will come from striving. It will come from surrender. Because when God elevates a soul who has been tested, healed, refined, and aligned, it is no longer about ambition, it's about assignment. You are not rising to be seen, you are rising to be sent, and you've been sent to shine. You were never forgotten, not for a single moment. Even in the silence, even in the suffering, even in the seasons when heaven felt 1,000,000 miles away, God's eyes were on you. His hand was on you. His purpose was holding you steady even when you were ready to let go. And now, with all that you've survived, all that you've grown through, all that you've overcome, you are finally stepping into the truth of who you are. You are the chosen one. Chosen not because of perfection, but because of purity of heart. Chosen not because you had all the answers, but because you dared to ask the right questions. Chosen not because you were always strong, but because you never stopped reaching for Him, even in your weakness. You are not rising because you forced the door open. You're rising because heaven has declared, now is the time. There's a peace coming to you now, a peace that doesn't need validation, A peace that knows, without a doubt, that what's ahead is not a fluke or a fantasy. It's fulfillment. You've carried the promise in your belly long enough. You've wrestled with doubt, fought off discouragement, and stood your ground when everything around you said, quit. But you didn't. You stayed. You trusted. You endured. And now the promise is being born. Your elevation will not look like anyone else's. It will not come through the same doors, flow through the same channels, or follow the same blueprint. Why? Because you are not a copy. You are the original design, a divine blueprint, and your rise will reflect that. It will be marked with God's signature, unmistakable, undeniable, and unstoppable. You may still feel unqualified. That's okay. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. And you are deeply, irrevocably called. You may look in the mirror and still see remnants of your past, scars from your process. But that's exactly why you've been chosen. Because you know what it means to bleed and still bless, to break and still build, to bend and still believe. What's ahead of you is not just a new season, it's a new dimension, a new level of spiritual clarity, authority, influence, and joy. You're going to feel lighter, not because life will be perfect, but because your soul will no longer be burdened by proving yourself. You'll know who you are, and more importantly, whose you are. There will be those who question the elevation. Let them. They didn't see the crushing. They didn't see the isolation, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the inner warfare you fought in silence. They didn't see you forgive what should have hardened you. They didn't see you praise through pain. But God saw, and now what He's about to do will speak louder than any rumor, louder than any lie. And this time you won't have to defend yourself. You won't have to explain, justify, or shrink. God will be your voice. God will be your vindication. God will be your platform. And it will be evident, not just to your enemies, but to those who need hope, those who are still in their wilderness, those who feel unseen, unheard, unwanted. Your rise will become their reminder. If God did it for them, He can do it for me. So walk boldly, chosen one. The mantle on your life is heavy, yes, but you were born to carry it. You've been prepared, anointed, set apart. This next chapter will not be about striving. It will be about surrender. Let God write the story. Let Him open the doors. Let Him shine through you. Don't be afraid of the light. You've spent long enough hiding, shrinking, second-guessing your worth. But this is your time to stand tall, to love boldly, to speak freely, to create with passion, to walk in rooms with authority and humility. You're not walking in as a beggar, you're walking in as a builder, a healer, a transformer, a vessel. And yes, you'll still face resistance. The enemy doesn't stop just because you've been elevated. In fact, the higher you rise, the more visible you become. But you are not rising alone, you are rising with God. You are surrounded by angels, you are covered in oil, and every step you take will be ordered, secured, and saturated in favor. Take this moment in, breathe it in. You didn't miss your window, you didn't fall too far, you didn't waste too much time. Everything has been redeemed, everything has been aligned, and everything is working together for your good. Now is your time. Your name is being called, not by men, but by heaven. So rise, chosen one. Rise with humility, rise with wisdom, rise with courage, and let the world witness what God does with a surrendered soul. Let your life become the prophecy fulfilled. Let your voice become the trumpet that awakens others. Let your scars become the message that heals generations. You are not here by accident. You are here because you were chosen. If this message resonated with your spirit, take a moment now. Breathe deeply, close your eyes, and thank God. Right here, right now. Declare it out loud. I receive it. I am the chosen one, and I am ready to rise. And when you're ready, share this word, not just for yourself, but for someone else who needs to remember their identity. You've made it through the fire. Now go shine like you were born to. Heaven's watching. The world's about to witness it. And the crown, it already fits. Until next time, walk in power, stay in alignment, and never forget, you're not late. You're right on time, because God is about to elevate you in front of everyone.